Hello. Welcome to the channel. Today I'll be talking about building your executive presence as a management consultant or as a person in the corporate workforce. So, for context, I am a management consultant. I'm a senior consultant at a small consulting company, and I formerly worked at a Big Four. And my experiences thus far have led me to a variety of projects in a variety of industries doing all sorts of stuff, whether it's workforce analysis, organizational design, learning and development, project management for a customer brand implementation, all sorts of stuff. And so I've been in consulting for around 2.5 years total, full time, and then about 3 months on top of that as an intern. And I think the greatest thing I've been able to develop on was this thought of executive presence. So, in college, when you're studying, you have all these extracurriculars, and maybe you're on an e-board there. You get some executive presence right there, simply because you have, as a board member, you have to organize events. Bring people together, throw, whatever organizational social media posts together, etc. So you get a little exposure to that there. But I've noticed, for me at least, when I was at my first job out of college, it was as an associate at a Big Four consulting company. I was doing human capital consulting, and I was the entry-level position. And I enjoyed my experience there. However, you don't really get to lead anything, which is something that was very different from me, because they expect you to lead. But there's no opportunity to lead, I thought, until later on when you're actually going up for promo, which I had not reached yet because it was still my first year at the company. So at that point, you're still just learning and doing whatever your manager tells you to complete, It's just a very straightforward, do this administrative task type of work. You're doing, making PowerPoints, you're doing basic impact analysis, making SWOT diagrams, or whatever you're doing. It's very basic, I would suggest. But you're not leading anyone. If anyone, you're leading an intern, maybe, if you're given an intern on your whatever client project you're on. So I'd say the executive presence for me didn't start until I was actually a senior consultant. But I would say it would be possible if you're going up for promo, because then you just have to make it be known to everyone at the company, including your engagement manager, hey, I am trying to go up for promo and I need to get opportunities to lead. And at that point, you do get ownership. And I'm thankful that right now I'm in a project management role. I'm doing agile project management for this giant company who's going through a brand implementation. And so I lead stand-up calls. And this brings me to the core of this YouTube video, which is what I've learned in my role as a project manager about executive presence. I've noticed that I'd be presenting in front of 10 to 30 leaders of this client company, and they're pretty high up. And you would think, oh, like I'm just a senior consultant, or I'm just a entry-level consultant, but you're expected to go in there and perform. And these people expect a lot from you, the client. Obviously, they're paying your company a lot to get the work done. So, of course, they expect a lot from you. And I think as someone who's on the younger end, who looks visibly so, I think you have to really put your best foot forward to show that you're capable. And there will be a lot of times where you're speaking, you might be running through the agenda, and you might be asking your clients, like, hey, what did you get done this week? If you're keeping track of their progress. And sometimes they won't have an answer. Sometimes they're not knowledgeable about it. Maybe they're not comfortable. So I think one thing I've learned is wait 5 seconds after you ask your question. Ask your question like, hello team. In the finance tasks for this week, I know we had to get this form filled out from the IRS. We had to fill out, etc., etc. What is the progress looking like this week? and you can call out people's names, even if you don't know them, if you know they're supposed to be doing those tasks, and then just give a pause. It's gonna feel uncomfortable, but for everyone else, it is not uncomfortable because to them, those 5 seconds don't feel like 5 seconds. They just feel like you're doing part of your job, which you are. So if you have that confidence when you're giving that 5 seconds, it will be fine. If you end up having an awkward pause before the 5 seconds, it'll be like, if maybe you say the word like, for example, and that would be an awkward 5 seconds. So be executive with your presence, pretend you know it. And there's a lot of imposter syndrome here, but I've noticed you just have to pretend it's not there and just put yourself in a tunnel and pretend you know exactly what you're doing even though you don't, and just speak as if you do. Because soon enough, that is exactly how you will know exactly what you're doing. And I think I've felt that myself. When I was first starting out, I felt a little nervous, to be fair. But by now, I'm leading these giant calls with people way more experienced than me, and it's not that bad. It's really doable, and I feel comfortable making this YouTube video about it because I've had the pleasure of learning through it. So I'd say that is one of the biggest things I've learned. Another thing I've learned is to have some key phrases in your head, some key corporate lingo that you could just whip out whenever you need. I've noticed one is that when it's silent, nobody's saying anything, and there's just a pause, you can say, all right, silence is golden. You can chuckle and then move on to the next piece. Another one is just moving on to the next piece. You don't even have to have some random fluff in it. But any of those corporate funny phrases that you find online or you've heard through the grapevine or, circling back, all that kind of stuff, you can use those. And I think it works because nobody's ever looked at me funny when I say it. So I think that's a good one. And I think overall, just be confident. Go into it knowing what you're trying to do. Prepared beforehand, and you'll be good. Hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.